I always find it kind of adorable and hilarious when people on the right get all up in arms about the corruption of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying Hunter and Joe aren't corrupt. In fact, quite the contrary. I know they're corrupt. I've read the articles. I've seen the evidence. The fact that there hasn't been investigation or prosecution over those things in particular is an indictment of the system more than anything else. And the reason why they're not going after them like that is because all of these politicians are guilty of corruption to the same degree or even to a worse degree in many instances. So I tell you that to show you this. This is a new piece in the New York Times. Trump real estate deal in Oman underscores ethics concerns. Details of the former president's agreement to work with a Saudi firm to develop a hotel and golf complex overlooking the Gulf of Oman highlight the ways his business and political roles intersect. Look, there's no other way to say this. This is colossally illegal and unconstitutional. How many times have I told you this? You guys all know this fact by heart because I say it so goddamn much. Jimmy Carter had to sell his peanut farm because the concern was a foreign government give you money through that peanut farm, which means you'd be beholden to a foreign government, which violates the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, which means we can't do it. You got to sell your peanut farm. Now, meanwhile, Donald Trump had a global business empire, and he just gave it off to his kids where they could still be bought off. By the way, same thing, Clinton Global Initiative. There was a lot of money changing hands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, in some instances, millions of dollars from Gulf dictatorships going to the Clintons, and the Clintons doing weapons deals for those Gulf dictatorships. Corrupt, corrupt, corrupt. But it's corrupt across the board. And in this instance with Trump, it's honestly even worse because it's his own personal businesses. So one of the things we talked about, Jared Kushner took $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. Why do you think they gave him that money? Do they like his stance on abortion? Is there some like highfalutin policy reason? No, it's a bribe. It's pay to play. It's not a coincidence that Trump didn't even do a slap on the wrist over the Jamal Khashoggi dismemberment done by Mohammed bin Salman. It's not a coincidence that Trump gave them multi-billion-dollar weapons deals. It's not a coincidence that Trump vetoed a resolution which got through the Senate to stop U.S. support of the Saudi genocide in Yemen. It's not a coincidence. There is a deep financial relationship, and now we know, and the details are astonishing, by the way, that Trump is also setting up deals like this with the government of Oman. Live Golf, Saudi Live Tour. They're paying Trump at least tens of millions, maybe 100 million to use his golf courses for their tour. Doing it with Oman too. So here's what they say. On a remote site at the edge of the Gulf of Oman, thousands of migrant laborers from Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan are at work in 103-degree heat, toiling in shifts from dawn until nightfall to build a new city, a multi-billion-dollar project backed by Oman's oil-rich government that has an unusual partner, former President Donald J. Trump. Now, let me pause here to say, and they go on to discuss this in the article as well. These migrant workers are basically doing forced labor. What's another word for forced labor? Oh, that's right, slavery. 103-degree heat. They're out there working. Probably many of them are going to die. We saw this with the building of the World Cup stuff in Qatar. So this is another angle to the story, that the President of the United States is dealing with a foreign dictatorship, making millions from them. At the same time, they're basically doing slavery to build his course and build his properties. That seems like kind of a big deal to me. Mr. Trump's name is plastered on signs at the entrance of the project and in the lobby of the Intercontinental Hotel in Muscat, the nearby capital of Oman, where a team of sales agents is invoking Mr. Trump's name to help sell luxury villas at prices of up to $13 million, mostly targeting super rich buyers from around the world, including from Russia, Iran, and India. So there's going to be a corrupt line to all of these different governments now through his property. Mr. Trump has been selling his name to global real estate developers for more than a decade, but the Oman deal has taken his financial stake in one of the world's most strategically important and volatile regions to a new level, underscoring how his business and his political his politics intersect as he runs for president again amid intensifying legal and ethical troubles. Interviews and an examination by the New York Times of hundreds of pages of financial documents associated with the Oman project show that his partnership is unlike any other international deal Mr. Trump and his family have signed. So here's what they say. The venture puts Mr. Trump in business with the government of Oman, an ally of the United States, with which Mr. Trump and his son-in-law Jared Kushner cultivated ties while in office, which plays a vital diplomatic role in a volatile region. The Omani government is providing the land for the development, is investing heavily in the infrastructure to support it, and will get a cut of the profits in the long run. Mr. Trump was brought into the deal by a Saudi real estate firm, another connection to the Saudis, Dar Al Arkan, which is closely intertwined with the Saudi government. Shock, shock. While in office, Mr. Trump developed a tight relationship with Saudi leaders. Since leaving office, he has worked with Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund to host the Live Golf Tour, and Mr. Kushner received a $2 billion infusion from the Saudi fund for his investment venture. Mr. Trump's company, the Trump Organization, has already brought in at least $5 million from the Oman deal. Under its terms, Trump Organization will not put up any money for the development, but will help design a Trump-branded hotel, golf course, and golf club, and will be paid to manage them for up to 30 years, among other revenue. The project could also draw scrutiny from the West for its treatment of migrant workers, and we just described that in detail. Okay. Guys, this is illegal. This is unconstitutional. This is not allowed. You're going to make millions from a foreign government as you're running for president. And what happens if you win? What happens? You're not putting the interests of the American people first. You're putting your own business interests and your own bank account first. So when Oman steps to you and says, hey, we got this issue. We got into a little kerfuffle with Iran. Take care of that for us. What are you going to do, Don? What are you going to... We know. We know. Guys, the biggest weakness of the United States is our immense selfishness and corruption at the highest levels of government. Other countries know. There is no sense of patriotism. There is no sense of nationalism. There is no sense of like, I'm going to do what's best by and for the American people. They know you could buy our people on the cheap. And then you know what? You get away with murder, man. You got a puppet in the U.S. Who's really in charge of who here? Who's really the boss here? The person providing the funds. And Trump has sold out to any and all comers as he ironically goes after Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Hillary Clinton. Yeah, they're corrupt too. You know who's more corrupt? Your ass. $2 billion from Saudi Arabia for Jared Kushner, and we're supposed to think there's nothing to see there? At least $5 million from the government of Oman, and we're supposed to think there's nothing to see there? Take all these facts and put Joe Biden in there, and they would be screaming bloody murder. And they'd be right. They'd be right. But they'll overlook it. They don't care. Just a businessman doing businessman things. My ass cheeks. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.